If a deal looks too good to be true, it usually is. That's the first rule of real estate. But I didn't listen. I'm a house flipper. I buy rundown properties, fix them up, and sell them for a profit. In 2021, I bought a massive Victorian house in upstate New York for dirt cheap. The bank told me it had been vacant for 5 years. They handed me the keys and told me good luck. I thought I had hit the jackpot. But I didn't know that the previous owner hadn't actually left. It was my 3rd week working on the house. My wife, Sarah, was back in the city working, so I was staying in the house alone during the renovations. I was sleeping on an air mattress in the only clean room, the master bedroom on the 2nd floor. It was a Tuesday night, around 1 a.m. I was a night owl, so I was working late, stripping wallpaper in the guest bedroom at the end of the hall. The room had this massive, ugly oak wardrobe built into the wall. It looked like it weighed a ton. My plan was to tear it out to open up the space. I grabbed my crowbar and started prying at the molding around the edges. It came away surprisingly easily. I shined my flashlight into the gap I had created. There was no drywall behind the wardrobe, just darkness. I realized the wardrobe wasn't built into the wall. It was covering a doorway. Curiosity got the better of me. I spent the next 30 minutes carefully prying the heavy unit away from the wall. It scraped loudly against the floorboards. When I finally moved it enough to squeeze through, I pointed my flashlight into the opening. It was a small room, maybe 8 by 8 feet. It wasn't on the blueprints. It had no windows. The air inside was stale, but it didn't smell like dust. It smelled like peppermint and sweat. I stepped inside. The room wasn't empty. There was a mattress on the floor, a sleeping bag, a stack of books, and in the corner, a small camping stove. I felt a chill run down my spine. Squatters. It happens all the time in foreclosures. I figured someone had been living here before I bought it and left when construction started. I walked over to the little table in the corner to investigate. There was a mug on the table. I touched it. It was warm. Not lukewarm. Hot. There was fresh steam rising from the coffee inside. My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't an old squatter's den. Someone had been in this room minutes ago. I spun around, pointing my flashlight at the door. That's when I heard it. Someone was standing right outside the hidden room, on the other side of the wardrobe I had just moved. I must have missed them when I was prying the wood. They must have slipped out while I was making noise with the crowbar. And now they were standing in the hallway, waiting for me to come out. I clicked off my flashlight instantly. I stood in the pitch black of the hidden room, holding my crowbar like a baseball bat. "Hello?" a voice called out from the hallway. It was a man. His voice was scratchy, erratic. "You moved my door," he said. He didn't sound angry. He sounded sad. "I liked that door." I didn't answer. I pressed my back against the wall. I heard him walking. He walked into the guest room. I could hear his boots crunching on the plaster debris I had knocked onto the floor. Crunch, crunch, crunch. He stopped right in front of the gap. I could hear his breathing. "Are you in there, Tom?" My blood froze. He knew my name. "I see your flashlight," he whispered. "You dropped it." I looked down. In my panic, I had dropped a spare roll of painter's tape on the floor, but I hadn't dropped my light. He was lying. He was trying to get me to move or speak. "Get out of my house," I yelled, trying to sound aggressive. "I have a gun." I didn't have a gun. I had a crowbar and a box cutter. The man laughed. It was a wet, gurgling sound. "It's not your house, Tom. The bank stole it. It's my house." I realized then who it was. The previous owner. The guy who supposedly lost the house. He had never left. He had just moved into the walls. Suddenly, a hand reached through the gap. He was blindly grabbing into the darkness, trying to find me. His hand brushed my shirt. I swung the crowbar. Thud. I hit his arm.
He yelped and pulled back.
"You hurt me," he screamed. His voice changed from sad to demonic instantly. "You hurt me!" He started throwing his body against the wardrobe, trying to push it back against the wall, trying to trap me inside. The heavy oak unit started to slide. The gap was closing. If he pushed it flush against the wall, I would be sealed inside a windowless room with no way out. I dropped the crowbar and threw my shoulder against the wood. I pushed back with everything I had. "Let me out!" I screamed. He was strong, manic strength. The gap was shrinking. 12 inches, 10 inches. I saw his face appear in the crack. He was filthy, with a long gray beard and wild eyes. He was grinning, showing rotted teeth. "Stay for dinner, Tom!" he shrieked. I managed to jam my foot into the gap at the bottom, acting as a wedge. I pushed with my legs. I groaned, feeling my muscles tearing. I shoved the wardrobe back just enough to create a space. I didn't think. I dove through the gap, head first. He tried to grab my legs as I tumbled out. I kicked him in the face. He fell back. I scrambled up and sprinted down the hallway. I didn't go for the stairs. He was blocking the path. I ran into the master bedroom, my room, and slammed the door. I locked it. I grabbed my phone from the air mattress. 1 bar of service. I dialed 911. "He's in the house! He's trying to kill me!" As I was talking to the operator, the doorknob of the bedroom started to jiggle. "Tom," the voice whispered through the door, "you forgot your coffee." Then the rattling stopped. I heard a heavy sound, the sound of an axe hitting wood. Chop! He was chopping through the door. Chop! Splinters flew into the room. I saw the blade of a rusted fire axe break through the wood. I ran to the window. We were on the 2nd floor. There was a trellis against the side of the house with ivy growing on it. I opened the window and climbed out. As I was climbing down the trellis, I heard the bedroom door give way upstairs. I looked up. The man was leaning out the window I had just escaped from. He swung the axe at me, missing my head by inches. I dropped the last 10 feet, landing hard on the lawn and twisting my ankle. I hobbled to my truck, locked the doors, and peeled out of the driveway, just as I saw him running out the front door. I drove until I saw police lights coming toward me. They surrounded the house. It took a SWAT team and tear gas to get him out. He had booby-trapped the hallway. If I had run down the stairs instead of jumping out the window, I would have tripped a wire that was rigged to a shotgun shell. They searched the hidden room. They found the coffee. They found the sleeping bag. But they also found a hole in the floor of the hidden room. It looked down directly into the bathroom below. For 3 weeks, every time I showered, every time I brushed my teeth, he had been watching me from the ceiling. They found a notepad next to his mattress. It was a log of my movements. Monday, Tom arrived 8 a.m. Tuesday, Tom sleeping. Looks peaceful. Wednesday, Tom needs to sharpen his saw. He's doing it wrong. He wasn't just living there. He was supervising me. He thought we were living together. I sold the house as is. I took a massive loss on it. I didn't care. I don't flip houses anymore, and now when I move into a new place, I measure the rooms. I measure the inside, and I measure the outside. And if the numbers don't add up, if even 6 inches of unaccounted space, I tear the wall down, because I need to know what or who is living in the gap.